line. Let's segue into the actual match itself because it did feature Wardlow, and really it was all about, was he going to be able to overtake Hangman Page? After last week's showing against Jungle Boy, I thought all of us were on board. SPD, he was your top performer of the night last week. What was your take on the actual match itself? How did it play out? Was the end result what you anticipated? And how did, as far as us getting there, what were your thoughts on the actual back and forth between the two?
Yeah, I thought it was a great way to start the show, and just week in and week out, this second week we're seeing Wardlow on TV. He looked even stronger, I think, this week than last week, even though he essentially squashed Jungle Boy to an extent. He really, he had me convinced that he was going to beat Hangman, and I was ready for the push. Obviously, the writing in the sand was Hangman versus Omega for the championship, but Wardlow was awesome. That spear through the barricade was like stand up going, wow, like wanted me to scream, holy shit. And then Wardlow with the shoot, off the top rope, like what the heck? Like he's showing us more and more moves and versatility that he has than we've seen. And, he's getting more ring time and he's getting essentially more camera time. So he's able to showcase, and the announce team was definitely hyping him up, being like, he is untouched talent. He's new and all this. And I was a little, his loss doesn't hurt him. That's the thing.
And I think that the way that he lost too, right?
Yeah.
I think it's important to note, like, and it's good on you to kind of bring up what the commentators said, right? Is, after Wardlow hit that F10 and it didn't put Hangman away, it kind of threw the big man off, right? That move has put everybody, I mean, as we talked about last week, he was 9-0, right? Going into last, so Wardlow's used to the F10 being a finish. It didn't put Hangman away. So then it pushed him kind of out of his element. He didn't know what to do, right? And that speaks to his inexperience. He ended up going to the top rope, and that ended up being his downfall. But the best part, like you said, was it wasn't just one buckshot lariat.
Mm-hmm.
One buckshot lariat got Wardlow stumbling.
Yeah.
Right? It didn't take him down. It took two buckshot lariats, which has proven to be one of the more effective finishers in all of AEW. Certainly one of my favorite finishers is two. I think Hangman executes it amazingly. It's such a great finish. But it took two to take Wardlow down. So I think to further comment on what you're saying there, SPD, it served its purpose. It certainly cemented Hangman as a legitimate world title contender, beating a guy like Wardlow. Yep. But in the way that Wardlow went down, he didn't lose any prestige. And I think that they did a great job of protecting the big man there. So I got to say, from your perspective coming out of that, you're going to take that as an elite or a delete, bud?
Oh, absolutely. 10 out of 10 elite. It was an entertaining match from the start to finish. There was barely little to no downtime in the match. It was everything you wanted out of a show opener. It could have been a main event of a Dynamite too. So definitely elite for me.
What about you, Zepp?
Yeah, this one was interesting because I've changed my mind on it a few times. So the match I thought was for sure an elite. And I think what happened was I really got behind Wardlow from his last performance, and I wasn't willing to accept him losing. But the reality is, right, Omega Hangman is amazing. Like, that's going to be awesome. People can say that that's, like, predictable. It wasn't. I actually didn't know once these matches were happening who the hell was going to win. So it made it look predictable at the beginning. But then, like, as soon as the matches started, all bets were off. So I'm giving it an elite. I think the only part of me that wanted to say delete was just seeing War Dog actually lose. But Sean, to your point, he doesn't lose like a ton of steam here, right? My only argument would be like, why have him in the tournament? Did you have to have him in this tournament if he was going to take an L? I would argue no, and like you could have him. That'd be my only argument. But it was a sweet match, no doubt.
Yeah, and I think like AEW did a really nice job of highlighting Wardlow's journey on social media. If you guys haven't checked out that video, they really do a behind the scenes of Wardlow and how he's always, he basically says you never have to prepare, you never have to train or prepare if you approach that every single day that is going to be your biggest match of your life, right? So I think Wardlow getting an opportunity in a tournament like this, when in reality most of his matches have been on dark. So we haven't really gotten a chance to see him outside of MJF's shadow. I thought getting him in the tournament alone, having such an emphatic win against Jungle Boy, and really, like we talked about last week, that matchup of styles really showcased his strength. And then really pitting him as a peer to Hangman, who has been presented as one of your company's biggest stars. I think it did Wardlow really well. I think that even though as a Cleveland boy, my heart was broken watching Wardlow go down, I too really wanted him to win because it would have been a great surprise. Like you guys talked about going into the tournament, we kind of thought as fans this was going to lead to Omega versus Hangman. It was too perfect for it not to.
Right.
So I'm not mad about that, right? But the mere fact that maybe that could have happened where Wardlow could have got the upset would have been certainly interesting, and no one would have complained about Wardlow being in the main event of the finals against Kenny Omega. No one would have complained about any four of these competitors actually being in that matchup because they were all presented incredibly well. They all held their own tonight. I have to say it's an elite for me. I thought that, Sean, you really emphasized it in what you were saying there too, is it felt like as soon as the bell rang, Hangman went running at Wardlow and attacked him, and they didn't stop. It was just these two beat the hell out of each other. And that was one of that. I mean, truly, they had a way of making it feel like neither one of them could lose, and that highlights what Zepp was talking about. We all kind of knew Hangman was the favorite, right? But the fact that these two were going at each other like they did, as a fan, you lost that. You got immersed into the matchup, and you really did not know which way it was going to go. It was an awesome, hard hitting affair. Really delivered. Can't complain about that one at all.
I agree. I got a bold prediction.
Let's hear it.
Oh,
So, yeah. So my bold prediction is, not to jump ahead, but next week you're going to get even more seeds planting of a Wardlow turn on MJF, and then he's going to cost him the match to join the inner circle. That way MJF losing is not necessarily a bad notch. It just sets up another feud, and then it gives more momentum to Jericho being more of the top guy.
That's interesting.